Welcome to another week of College Game Day with Hick the Stick. This week is week 8 of the college football season. Last week we had an unbelievable upset. South Carolina beat Georgia in second overtime where Georgia missed a field goal. And then the LSU Tigers took down the Florida Gators and stays undefeated, is now number 2 in the nation. Well, last week I went 14-2, making my total prediction for the season 124. I got 100 games right so far, hoping to make it 200 by the end of the season. Well, like I said in my last episode, I'm going to make my mid-season prediction of who I think will be in the college football playoffs. Well, our first game, number 3, Clemson versus Louisville. Louisville got that big upset against Wake Forest last week, that big win. But they're not ready for the Clemson Tigers. The Clemson Tigers stay undefeated and takes down Louisville. West Virginia versus number 5, Oklahoma. Oklahoma won the Red River rivalry last week against Texas. They look to stay undefeated. They're playing West Virginia, a tough team. But Oklahoma's at home. They get the win over West Virginia. Number 6, Wisconsin versus Illinois. Wisconsin stays undefeated, stays in the top 10, and take down Illinois. Number 9, Florida versus South Carolina. South Carolina got that big upset against Georgia. They were excited. They were enjoying the win. They had a fun week last week. But Florida lost to LSU. They're ready to bounce back this week, and they're going to take down South Carolina. The Gators get the win. Number 11, Auburn versus Arkansas. I see Auburn as a top team in the SEC. Auburn beats Arkansas. Purdue versus number 23, Iowa. Iowa's lost 2 games straight. They just want to win a game again. And they win it this week against Purdue. Iowa finally gets a win. They beat Purdue. Number 2, LSU versus Mississippi State. LSU is now number 2 in the nation. In a couple weeks, it might be number 1 against number 2, Alabama versus LSU. But the LSU Tigers take down Mississippi State. Temple versus number 19, SMU. SMU, I'm calling my Cinderella team. They could lose this game, but they're at home. They got their fans. Buechele is going to have a great game, and they're not going to lose this game. SMU is going to beat Temple and take them down. SMU stays undefeated. Number 20, Mississippi versus Rutgers. Mississippi beats Rutgers. Tulsa versus number 21, Cincinnati. Cincinnati beats Tulsa. Number 18, Baylor versus Oklahoma State. My upset here, Oklahoma State is going to beat Baylor. They just barely got a win last week against Texas Tech in overtime to keep their undefeated season alive. But Oklahoma State gives Baylor their first L of the season, and the Baylor Bears lose to Oklahoma State. Number 22, Missouri versus Vanderbilt. Missouri beats Vanderbilt. Kentucky versus number 10, Georgia. Like I said, Georgia lost to South Carolina. They're upset. They're not happy. They were number 3 in the nation. Now they're number 10. I feel bad for Kentucky because the Bulldogs are ready to play, and it's going to be an ugly game for Kentucky. Georgia beats Kentucky. Now, Tennessee versus number 1, Alabama. Alabama is the number 1 team in the nation. They're going to stay number 1. They keep on rolling. Alabama beats Tennessee. Number 14, Boise State versus BYU. Boise State is undefeated. The Broncos get it done and takes down BYU. Number 12, Oregon versus number 25, Washington. A top 25 matchup. Oregon has their only loss of the season is the very first week to Auburn. And Washington has 2 losses. Now, I get this game is in Washington, but Oregon is going to beat Washington and kick Washington out of the top 25. Another top 25 matchup. Number 17, Arizona State versus number 13, Utah. Utah is going to get upset against Arizona State. The Sun Devils are going to beat the Big U. Arizona State beats Utah. Our game of the week, number 16, Michigan versus number 7, Penn State. Penn State is undefeated. Michigan's got that one loss. It's going to be a game for a while, but then Penn State's going to get a fumble or an interception, and all the momentum is going to go to them, and they're going to keep the momentum, and they're going to end up winning this game. When it's all said and done, Penn State wins and stays undefeated. It's going to be a tough team for Ohio State to beat. Our next game, the Texas Longhorn game of the week, the Longhorn game of the week. Texas versus Kansas. Number 15 beats Kansas in this matchup. The Jayhawks lose to Texas. Well, I'm ready to make my prediction of who I think will be in the college football playoffs. I got Ohio State, number 1. LSU, number 2. Clemson, number 3. And Oklahoma, number 4. That's who I got in my college football playoffs. And the two teams that could sneak in there is Alabama and Penn State. Just think, if Alabama beats LSU or Penn State beats Ohio State, they could be in the playoffs. So those are my two teams that could sneak into the college football playoffs. And then my brother made his own prediction of who he thinks could be in the college football playoffs. He's got Alabama number 1, Ohio State number 2, LSU number 3, and Oklahoma number 4. That's who he's got in the college football playoffs. We'll see who gets it right at the end of the season. Well, that's all I got here on College Game Day with Hick the Stick for Week 8. I'll see you in Week 9 of the college football season.